Please be aware that this podcast is intended for a mature audience and therefore it might have language that is not intended for children. Enjoy the podcast. Let's discuss some tennis-specific tactics. So it's not general in sports anymore about fun and character and stuff like that. It's just tennis-specific tactics.
So this is the moment for all of you who are not in the tennis world to just get out, basically.
No, don't throw them out. Stay. It doesn't matter. Learn something about tennis if you don't know.
It's reverse psychology. If you tell them to go, they'll stay.
Reverse psychology. I don't think it works like that.
Not with podcasts.
No. So let's discuss about different types of tactics. First of all, I want to discuss about something that really annoyed me most of my life, playing with people that put a lot of balls in, aka grinders or moonballers. And it's important to distinguish between those two types because there's different types of grinders, just not one. So you want to describe a little bit more?
The different types of grinders?
Well, yeah, what you noticed and how do you play them?
Well, I noticed that grinders suck. Absolutely. I'm sorry for the language, but they suck playing with. And even being a grinder, playing against a grinder, how is that shouldn't even be legal as a sport in tennis, as a tactic in tennis? Like, it's boring.
Yeah, but it's boring for you, it's boring for them maybe, but it works.
Of course.
And it's a great, and we're talking about grinders. Djokovic is sort of a type of grinder.
Yes.
And Nadal is sort of a type of grinder, but don't think about a stereotypical grinder just doesn't have any power, stays in the back, never goes to the net. No. There's so many types.
There is so many types, but okay, this is really bad, but to me, grinders in a way have no attitude and they're scared because you're scared to make the first move. You are waiting technically. This is how they teach you in Spain, and there's critics out there. I'm telling you now that you guys don't know what you're talking about then, because the grinders in Spain are always told just to put the ball in and wait for the other to make the mistake. This is how it works. Okay, now that there are different types of grinders that Djokovic as a grinder or Nadal, clearly he's changed his game completely. He's not considered a grinder anymore, but definitely is traditionally the definition of grinder. Now, why they made it and others don't is because they are able to neutralize the any type of ball much better, and also they still have that game of aggressiveness or finishing the point when they need to. Now, our grinders, like our type of level grinders, like college level or lower level than professional, they don't know. They don't know that the net, for example, coming up to the net or finishing a point is unknown territory to them. And I have seen this in my team, with grinders in my team. I have seen it with opponents that I played. You know that their weakness is giving them a short ball and you will still get it back. They don't know how to put the speed differently on that ball. So, to me, because obviously I'm the opposite sort of a grinder, like I like to attack, I like to take control of the point, then yes, to me, this maybe is also a personal view, absolutely, obviously. But yes, they're boring in the sense that they're boring and they're scared because, ultimately, how are you going to win the point? Like just hit different balls, then go practice and don't get a match.
Well, I think they require patience and they're playing sort of a chess game. I'll make you miss, and I think they're patient. Usually, I don't think they're scared. Well, it depends on the level, obviously. If you're talking about college Division 2 level and maybe even D1 in some colleges and junior level, the grinders are not very varied. They don't have that extra super hard forehand or approach shot or great volley necessarily that can finish the point. They're very one-sided in that way. That's what they do. They put a ball in no matter where you put it. So now, give me an example how you would play, and then I'll give you one.
Well, first, before that, just want to say that I do appreciate, despite all the criticism I said towards grinders. But the reason why I'm criticizing them is because they've always caused me a hard time to play with. So, after all, it's a criticism, but it's an admiration.
Yes.
Sorry, like English is my first language. As we pronounce this, it's an admiration towards them. And if I were to pick two key things that I would take from grinders and then we should all learn from grinders is one, their patience is unbelievable. And I want to say, after all the criticism I threw to you grinders out there, that I admire patience more than anybody else, and this is one of your highest quality. And secondly, this is for the high quality players, is their variety. Despite what Daniel said that they are very one-sided, that's correct, because all they do is they put the ball in.
In that way, one-sided.
Yes, in that sided, but in that way. But if you look at, for example, some D1 players that we've seen that are grinders, holy man, they have all the arsenal and all the army of shots. They do it perfectly. Like they do a slice from a lob.
Yeah, because to be a grinder, very good point. Because to be a grinder, you have to be very technically sound.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be a grinder with being uncomfortable to slice or to moonball or to topspin or to flatten the ball. You cannot be. You need to be comfortable with all sorts of balls. That's right. Yeah, so technically, they're the most sound players.
Yes, I definitely admire them for that. To answer your question of how I would play them. So this comes very recent to mind because not long ago I was playing grinders, and some of you know exactly who I'm referring to, but in this case I would definitely not name names. And how I would play them is sorry, I don't know why I could continue laughing when I think of it. How I play them is, or how I not play them. I have to say this because it's more how not to play them than play them. Okay.
Sure.
It's true like that with grinders. It's very hard to have a specific tactic. But what you must definitely not do is hit the shit out of the ball. Because sorry, but it's true. I will hit the shit out of the ball from the back. Okay, and hitting deep balls to them from very, very hard. That's exactly what a grinder does. Because think of a grinder as a wall. Okay, they stand in the baseline, or even 2-3 meters from the baseline, or even in the fucking first wall, because some do, especially with girls. And they take all the power that you put in the ball, and they lob you back or spin. Like not all grinders are lobbers. Okay, fine, but they are very good at doing that. So ultimately, what you want to do is use angles. And vary their movement. So bring them up on the net where you know that they will not finish the point most likely, because grinders don't tend to necessarily be amazing volleyers. An amazing volleyer is eventually the one who creates the point just to put the volley away. So that would be an aggressive player. But a grinder would just put, open up, or just grind it back, grind everything back to you, and eventually sneak into the net and just put a short ball. But if you're a fast runner, like Daria, for example, he was sprinting to the net in no second, so he'll get that back. So what you want to do is bring...
Flattered.
Yes. I wish too much to be this way. Bring them out of the comfort zone. And you might be asking, what is the comfort zone? Well, this is the moving them they are very good at moving side to side. They're outstanding. Mm-hmm. So if you only hit hard, like backhand forehand, back to the backhand to the forehand, hard to the baseline, they're in their comfort zone. They might as well just be sitting on a chair in the baseline and just putting balls back to you. What you want to do is take them out with angles, with short angles, and then maybe hit a deep ball, because that's a very weird movement in tennis to do, from an angle to like a backhand deep. Like it's very hard to get that deep back again. Like not everybody has those skills. And also, that's one thing you want to do. So vary with the depth of the ball. Don't make the mistake like me of, like I did in my first matches, of hitting deep. And the second thing, briefly, because then you're really exploding to say something, trust me, is to vary their forward and back movements. So bring them to the net and then, lock them, or bring them to the net and then hit right in their chest. It's true, it works. So put them in their least favorite situation, which is coming to the net, eventually. But don't start, like, if you bring it to the net, make sure that after that, you put them, try to take them back. So those are, I would say, the two things to definitely play your grinder. Oh, actually, one more thing. Sorry, there is actually one more thing. don't be freaking afraid to take the balls up early and in the air. Okay, don't, because it's so easy to get in their game of putting balls back or lobbing back. Oh, that's really really easy. But you have to, third thing to remember, that you need to play your own game. Okay, you need to continuously take the ball early, and that's what you do. Especially if it's aggressive against grinder, that's when this applies the most. Um, but yeah, those will be definitely the three things. I'm done.
Yeah, I just wanted, when you saw me exploding,
Yes.
I just wanted to explain why you want to do those angles, because I agree that's basically the tactics I would do. What you want to do with the angles is that, yes, you're trying to open yourself an angle so you can have a free space of the court where you can finish the ball, and also short and deep after that, because they're probably going to be caught on the back foot going back, and they're going to give you a short ball where you can finish. So usually you're trying to finish, if you're not a grinder yourself, or if you're a grinder and you have someone that matches you exactly, it's probably going to be a 4-hour battle and all the team waiting for you, your parents waiting for you. But to break that tie in a way, you want to be the first one to push the step in and try to finish the shots. And by varying depth, because varying depth is not that difficult in a way, because you're not in that much danger if they reach to the net when you have a certain level of grinders, yeah? So you don't put yourself in much danger, but if you make them run back and forward, side to side, with changes of angles, there's more possibility you catch them on the wrong foot, or you catch them in a no man's land where you can actually finish the point with them. So that's what I'm gonna do. Plus, you're gonna get them tired, but make sure that while you're doing that, you don't put as much effort as them, because that's when they got you. That's when you're playing that game now. You know, you're trying to put angles, they're putting angles back, you're running as much, or if not more than them. That's when you know, like, that's not good. It's not gonna go good if you continues like that,
Yeah.
especially for someone who plays like me, a more aggressive style. When I was cutting those battles, I was like, I'm not going down the right direction. The third set is gonna be difficult for me. I'm not, because I wasn't able to keep the pace for so long.
Yes, absolutely. And you might be thinking that's so hard not to get into the game of grinding. No, sorry, not putting more effort than them. And to explain, to help you guys understand what Daniel and I mean, because it's very very obviously hard to not get into their energy levels. Is another sort of key thing to have in mind, is that grinders love rhythm. That's their favorite thing. Once they get into a rhythm of just putting balls back, and they are getting into a rhythm of understanding exactly what shot you hit at each moment in time, that's their ultimate peak. And making them go down from that, the only way to make it go down is to break the rhythm, because they are in their ultimate tennis. So what that will lead to is you not putting as much energy as them. And how you can do that? The basic example is taking your time between points, at least when you can, like when you're serving. Okay, you decide your rhythm. Obviously, this is not possible for the high, professionals, because they are timed. Okay, but that's different, because the grinding there is different. It's not this boring.
No, but it's much faster, and they have all types of weapons. Like grinders there, they can finish the point anytime.
Yeah, that's different. And ultimately, most players are somewhat more considered grinders, because they all put more balls than our average level. So, they will all be grinders to us. But when I mean, for example, in college tennis or even in normal competition, you have the chance to take your time, because there's no referee, and it's okay. I know this might sound like, but that's not fair, Daria, because I shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, but you need to use all the assets that you can to win against this person, and the one way is to not give them rhythm. So what Daniel is saying, by not using the same energy as them, is the one way you can do that is by resting between points more. So this will also break their rhythm, because what they want is the same rhythm all the time, the same rhythm, like the same break and the same 10, 12 balls until you hit out, because you are just so exhausted with it. Don't get into that. Okay, after a long point, the longer the point is, the more time you should take for yourself. Okay, at least when you serve.
Yes, I agree. And this doesn't make you less of a character if you're trying to, because with that character versus competitiveness, it doesn't make you less of a character. You're just trying to fight it through and using all the legal methods. This is not cheating. This is you pacing yourself. So, yeah. Also, they're very complex puzzle, those grinders. So it's not one way does it, and that's why I would say, in my personal opinion, they're the hardest players to beat, and especially when you're developing as a player and you have to be pretty sound. You have to be on that day, and that's why they're usually successful. But yeah, how about aggressive players? First of all, I probably consider myself and yourself tending toward the aggressive spectrum. For sure, for me, I enjoyed the most when I was finishing the points, and when I was doing it early, which is not always beneficial.
When you're finishing the point by hitting the net, or okay, you have to specify how you're finishing the point.
Finishing the point by winning.
Okay, I'm kidding. So how you will play or train those ones?
It's about how you would play against them, each player. For me, before I ask you, it's like, be a grinder.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. This answer is so much easier. Is be a grinder. Be a grinder, and maybe because we said that grinders have a repertoire, a more prepared and better repertoire than the attackers, the aggressive players, then ultimately that also leads to a second answer of finding the weak spot of the aggressive player. They tend to have more weak spots. A lot of aggressive players, especially in girls' sports or tennis, because we talk about that, they go around their backhand to hit forehand. So that's a ding, ding, ding sign that, okay, why aren't you hitting a backhand?
They tend to have a stronger shot or preferred shot.
Exactly. Aggressive players do, while grinders don't. So this answer is just very simple. I know you expect a more complex answer, but it's basically grinding and finding their weak spot.
Yeah, and basically, how do you do that? You try to find their preferred shot, which will be pretty obvious in returning and in playing from the baseline. And you're probably going to go inside-out forehand, most likely, or inside-out backhand, where I was doing when I was developing, which was weird, because backhand was my preferred shot when I was growing up. And you try to play on the weakest side, but don't always hit on the weakest side because they're going to keep going around it. And that's where you fall into a sort of trap. You also want to take them out angled onto the, let's say, forehand side is the stronger side. Play a few on the forehand. Make them run out wide for the forehand, and then play on the backhand 2-3 balls, and then make them run out wide so they can hit that backhand running, because running is even more difficult shot. And also because you create space, because it's hard for them to go forehand once you get them with an angle on the forehand. It's hard for them to get back to the center in time. Also, this will get them tired, and it will be harder for them to get inside outs, and if you frustrate them enough, it's gonna be their good shot is gonna drop. You want to say something?
More to just sort of conclude. These are the opposite, obviously the opposite type of players as to the grinders, and this is maybe the ones that you want to do sort of the opposite to what you do to the grinder. And that is, neutralizing their shot. So it doesn't necessarily mean becoming a grinder, because you can just become what you're not, okay, or what you don't want to be. I played a lot of people who were even more aggressive than me and would put less balls in than me. But obviously, what makes you aggressive is not just putting little less balls in. That's not one aggressive player. That's just a player who has no consistency whatsoever. An aggressive player is the one who uses very well the short balls. Okay, so they hit the shit out of it, and they hit it well, and then they leave you with a volley. So or they are the players who are not afraid to come to the net and finish the point. They are the players who take chances by themselves. That's an aggressive player. Doesn't mean they don't put balls in, But usually, from what I'm sure you guys have seen, a lot aggressive players tend to be stronger also in terms of what they look, and or not necessarily because you can look skinny and be very strong, but they have more speed through the ball.
Yeah, it bounces differently, so that's why you have to take it just a little bit earlier, take it on rise, and use their power. Use their power. Don't if you're aggressive and playing with an aggressive player, don't try to overpower them. I did that so many times. I was like, I want to be the one that finishes the point. Oh yeah, I want to show up, that I finish the point. No. Take the ball early and use their pace. It's so good. Just make them run.
Yeah. So ultimately do the opposite to what you do to a grinder. Neutralize.
Not the opposite.
No, ultimately yes. No, I actually disagree with you here. I think ultimately you have to sort of do the opposite, as in hit deep, and keep them out back there, because once you bring them
to
the net, that's what I mean.
In that way, okay, yes. Don't let them come in, yes.
Yes, but to the grinders, you do the opposite, right? Because we just said don't hit deep and hard until they get into a rhythm. Make them come to the sides, make them come out.
We're talking about depth of ball.
Yeah,
opposite.
Deep. You said it to depth, as in it's another word for depth. So this is what I mean ultimately.
Okay, and how about change of pace players? They change pace constantly. They go from a lob to a slice to aggressive shots, which usually there are some grinders that do that. There are some people that specialize of changing the pace, and when they see a pace you really dislike, they stick to it. Like they play a whole set with slicing. They don't care.
Yeah, those are the players I actually admire the most in the grinders, because of their ability to see very clearly what the weakness of the opponent is. And maybe this one falls a little bit more than the others to practice, how you practice. A lot of players like to practice with the same person that they have adjusted to, and especially when they have to play, like the coach says, choose somebody to play they usually make you play with somebody else. You don't choose, but there's a lot of coaches who just like choose, you to play a set with somebody. And a lot of players obviously go for the comfort zone. It's normal, especially if you're younger. You go for the comfort zone. If somebody's watching you want to make sure that you know exactly how the player is. But if you really want to be able to play those varied players that play all shots, and if you want to make it pro, then you definitely want to play this players, because all the top players know how to vary their shots very well, and know how to study your weakness and hit on that weakness. Then you want to play with people you don't know. I mean, there's a lot of groups out there who have played with each other a few times, because there's big groups in tennis, not everybody trains by themselves. But ultimately, this leads to practice. If you know that your coach, for example, does not have the ability to rally with you, showcasing different types of shots, then you tell your coach that he needs to find a sparring partner for you who is able to hit those shots that you hate the most. Women hate slices when they hit slices. We don't like to go down. This is bad. We don't like to bend our knees, and men we're more lazy in that sense. Men maybe dislike loves more, because they're more able to take it in the rise, So there's obviously you know what suits you well and what doesn't suit you, but ultimately I think is not being afraid to hit those shots in practice and practicing, because those are the times you are allowed to make mistakes and you won't be charged for your mistakes. But in matches, let's say you didn't have this practice, or for some reason your coach cannot give you the correct attention, so you didn't have the practice. All you can do in matches is maybe I would say one thing you can do is play the offense, as in you find their weak spots as well. Okay, they are able to play all the shots, but notice where do they lose. Look, guys, use your eyes. This is something I did not do. I was so focused on myself and how I play and what my parents would say that I didn't notice what I had in front of me. All the players have a weakness, especially at our level. They have more than one weakness. All we need to see is a pattern. Play 2-3 games. You know what? Say, fuck these games. I'm just going to study the player for the first 2-3 games. I don't want to make a good start. I just want to see where they miss. I'm sure they don't win all the points. I'm sure there's points where they miss. Okay, what is it? Is it that short ball at the end they don't like on the forehand? Is it that slice? I'm sure they have something too. And even if your slice, for example, doesn't look good, but you notice that's what hurts them, you will do it. It's not about looking good. So we have so many parents who are so focused about their kids looking good on the court. Tennis doesn't matter about that anymore, okay? What we see on TV is a lot of looking good players when they play. Oh, also, themselves too. But hashtags there. I'm kidding. Yeah, you know that. No, seriously. I know that we all want to be like them and look good on the court like them, but ultimately it's about just being efficient. You should see the top 50 women players in Spain. I'm telling you, I have played top like all the 20, half of this top 50. That's what I was trying to say. And I can say all of them had worse looking shots than me. And without any modesty now, okay, I don't look great, but they had, like, their backhand looked awful from outside. Yet, do you know how efficient they hit it? Yeah. It was amazing.
It's efficiency versus technique. I think you really hit the nail on this one. Hit it out in the park.
Oh, yeah.
Can't recover. Boom. No, I can't think about anything now. How about big servers?
Did I just get to the host? Okay.
How about big servers?
Changing subjects. How you play big servers? Okay, you play big server by neutralizing the serve. Now, you definitely will say to me, but I don't know what they're gonna serve. How am I gonna be there when I don't know what direction they're going? And this is something very interesting that I learned in Spain, that they teach you in Spain, and they've never taught me in the US or any other places. And that is to create some zoom lenses to your eyes and notice their movement. All the players that are lower level like us, or not professional, okay, they don't they don't toss the ball, or they don't move their feet or move their racket the same way for each serve, each direction serve. You will notice that some do something funny with their racket when they want to go to the tee, or when they want to go to the right. So that's one thing that you need to, again, you cannot do it from the first point. A lot of people get frustrated because they see their opponent starting the first 3 times they serve, the first 3 service games, they kicked it like 40 love, you didn't have a chance. Give yourself time to get adjusted. Okay, obviously there's a time ticking, because you only have 2 sets in girls, 3 in guys, and if they won all of those, then the match is over. But like, it's okay, it's only a few games, you can come back, it's tennis. Until it's not over, it's not over. So use those first times to notice what is the movement of that player, and how is he tossing the ball when he serves to my backhand rather than when he's serving to my forehand. That's one way. The second way is blocking and utilizing instinct, I think. Sometimes, okay, there's only ultimately 3 possibilities of serving, like to the tee, out wide, and to the middle, in terms of direction, I mean, okay? And the middle one ultimately will catch you somewhat prepared, because if you're going to the right, you can still hit it by backhand if you're right-handed, and if you're going to the other side, you can still hit it. So the middle one is sort of solved, I want to say. What the problems are the right and the left, right? The T. So sometimes use your instinct. If you are really in the game, you will know that in the vantage point, for example, when it's or sudden death, those are really big ones. And you will notice, if you are in the game, that when they served on the left, they most of the time in this sort of points they have served to your, I don't know, I'm just saying, to your T, for example. So use your instinct. If you really think that they might do the same, or no, this time I have a feeling they're just gonna change it just to surprise me. Okay, then go for it. Go step a little bit to the left. Make the server think. Just because the server has the ball in their hands and they have total control over the direction, it doesn't mean that you cannot do anything without the ball. And this is what they taught me in Spain, to move and force them to do a serve that they are not used to doing.
No matter how far back you stay, make sure you always split forward. How about cheaters?
That's really, yeah. No, you should continue talking about the split. Actually, I think that's a very good point. I don't see
you can say it.
Well, no. What we're just trying to say is that eventually splitting does help you to move in the right direction better. And there's a lot of left-handed or left-footed kids. I don't know how to name them. Sloppy kids who have not mastered the footwork in tennis, especially. Mm-hmm. And nobody ever told them before a volley or before a return split step.
50% of the return is the split step. I mean, a lot of tennis is footwork, but I would say return even more so. If you don't do the split is gonna catch you on the right foot and it's gonna catch you unreactive. Because with a hard server, you block the ball in front of you. You don't have time to hit the ball. You just block. And when you split, it allows your body to block the ball while going forward, which allows you to put more weight on the ball, which allows you to direct it in the direction you want it to go. There's the idea behind it. There's the kinetics behind this.
Yeah, exactly. You explained that better than me.
Certainly briefer. You explain it very detailed. I love that.
Well, I only have an hour to make them all understand about the truth about tennis.
No, because you know what? You'll probably come back. The chances are.
I don't think anybody will be back now.
The chances are, yes, they do. And what about cheaters? The last one.
You made the last one the most complicated.
I'll give you 4 minutes.
I feel like I haven't mastered yet completely how to play cheaters. Mainly because in terms of tennis-wise, the sport is so saint and so beautiful to me, and all of you who know me, you don't have to know me well to know that I'm passionate, and tennis is one of the best things that have happened in my life.
Everyone can definitely tell you're passionate. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, but about tennis is a big question. But yeah, so for that reason, every time I play cheaters, it makes me think, why would you do such a nasty, ugly thing that says so much shitty stuff about your character and your education and just your personality altogether? Why would you hurt this person so much? That's I know this is a very weird sort of way of thinking, but this is what I think, just because I love this sport so much, and I will never, and I've never cheated to win my way out of something. Now, have I cheated before because the other opponent was doing it and I just didn't see any other solution? Yes, absolutely, I have, and I will not regret it, and I'll do it again. Very few times, but I have. But that's the thing, to win a whole match, I've never done it. I've done it to win like 1 point, 2 points, because of the situation I was put in. I do have, if you want, in the 2 minutes left of my of my time, if you want to put an example to see when I, according to me, it's okay to play their game, their nasty game, and that is when the referee. I know it's we always say, oh, the referee was also against me. No, it's not always against you. Okay, if you see this game and the situation from an outside, from a spectator point of view, that's something you need to practice with meditation, with visualization, with things like that. Then you will understand that they were not always against you. They were just doing what their job is and what the rules say of tennis. But there is some instances when I give it to you, even with big players. We've seen it in Nadal, we've seen it in Roger Federer, we've seen it in Serena Williams. When the umpires have been somewhat biased against them. And my example is no situational. I'm not going to tell you where I was or anything, but most of you know. But this player, who was known as a renowned cheater, okay, she will. This was a very interesting way of cheating. Never saw it before. This was not just the typical, the ball was in and she called it out. No. She will miss a point, like hitting in the net, okay, or miles out. But let's just give this about hitting in the net, and then she will put that point for her. So she would call out the point for her. So obviously I would stop and be like, I just won that point, and she will say that the ball that she had hit before hitting in the net, so my ball was out. She didn't call or say anything. So I'm like, wait, you first hit it in the net and then you called it? No, that doesn't make any sense. And the best one of the same player is that let me think about this. Yes, that's how. Okay, so I called her bola out, miles out, yes, and everybody obviously sees it, even her opponents. They move on to change sides, and she's like, no, wait, what are you talking about? Like, honey, your ball was like on the fence, and she tells the referee, not even me. So obviously she made it up as soon as the referee came up. She tells the referee that my previous ball before her ball being out was out. And obviously the referee, put yourself in the referee situation. the referee has to go by the first ball that occurred in the rally. So if my ball before her ball being out was out, then she's right. Do you understand what I mean? So in that sense, that's another level of cheating that I was like, whoa, okay, I don't know how to deal against this because it's a one-time thing that happens.
And you will see multiple levels of cheating and different types of cheating, but I know how not to play cheaters is basically don't start taking it personal and becoming angry, because then you are certainly defeated. Yeah. So you can return the same coin to them, but remember that they're doing it very calmly usually. They're doing it very calculated. It's nothing to do with you. It's for them to win. Don't take it personally, and just, return the same coin, but keep your calm no matter what you do, no matter what your decision is. To call the referee, keep your cool and play, because if they start cheating more, that's an alarm signal that they might be afraid of losing. So in a way, you can take it as a compliment, and if you take it as a compliment, you can deal with it better.
Oh yes. Always think that the only reason why they do it is to get into your head. They don't do it for themselves. They do it for you. So will you let them get into your head? That's ultimately what they are trying to do. So especially for those, just last thing to say, the one thing that relies in your hands, because controlling your mind and what gets into it sometimes is very hard, and you need to practice that, is using all the assets that you have available. And the only one in this case is using the authorities, so the referees. So if you are in a tournament where you do have the availability of choosing a referee to stay in the court and asking for him to stay, call him 100 times if you need to. He will get annoyed and eventually will tell that person, look, she needs to stop calling me, so stop doing whatever you're doing because it's frustrating her. But if you do have the ability to call a referee, sometimes someone who has the decision to say if it was an out or what they're doing, then do it. You use it to your advantage.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. It's not. We're only rushing because it's like we're recording, as you can probably hear. We're trying to edit it, but we're recording in like a living room. We don't have any studio or anything, and we also have roommates that try to use the living room and everything, and we're not trying to keep them out of it. And we also have neighbors and stuff, so it's we're always under time management in a way.
Well, truthfully, also because we have touched upon so many things that I bet they didn't conclude on anything because with us.
No, I think they did. I think we got them together, and I would like to first thank you for joining me again and sharing your passion, which is true, and also your wisdom from your tennis years and your more mature look over it now that you're not playing as regular, you're just reflecting. Thank you so much for coming, and hope you're coming again soon.
Well, I hope that you will invite me again soon. And as always, I'm not saying this because I'm somewhat related to Daniel, in a sort of relationship with Daniel. But I do say that because it's really nice to be here, and I think it's great what you do and I do hope that you have a lot of success with this, and I know for a fact that you will have it. And I think as much as we blurb on and we have a lot to learn, and Daniel has a lot to learn because he's ultimately the one doing this weekly. I think that a lot of you can benefit strongly from this, and please put aside all the kind of the less good things that he does because he's still learning. But I appreciate so much. No, it's true. We all are. I mean, I am. I know I talk way too much sometimes because of my passion. But ultimately, just try to take what you can from this and what suits you best. All right, leaving the things that we have to prove aside, because after all, he's wonderful, and he's trying to do something good for all those listeners out there.
Thank you. I didn't expect this sort of emotional end.
Me neither.
Just trying to help, take it or not, I think it's valuable information that I wish I would have had when I grew up, and I wish I have now as a parent or as a coach. So. Obviously, you have your own opinions. What I also realize is that next time I'm inviting her, we need to have like a more strict sort of topic, because obviously we have a lot of experience and she has a lot of examples and she remembers a lot. So that's really cool. So I'll just keep it a little bit more on the subject and brief, and even review some of the subjects. And if you have anything that you recommend we talk about, and if you do have any friends or you that you want to add to how you play different types of players or anything like that, or just about the sports and character in general, write to me at Daniel_podcast@outlook.com. And obviously I'll read it, we'll respond to you, and we'll create more conversations based on what you're asking us. So don't be afraid to write to us. It can be anonymous. Don't have to put your name if you're ashamed that we're going to talk about it. Just put it anonymous and let us talk about it. If you want us your name, obviously put your name, and let's keep the conversation going. Toodaloo!